Yeah, see the babies, the dogs were partners.
Yeah.
Which we're magnets for.
We're lucky we're doing this.
We are rolling now.
Congratulations. What is it how really proud of this record?
Yeah, I am proud of it, and it feels exciting. You know, I feel like I've been working on it for a long time. Finished it quite recently, and we're still mixing the album together, and so it doesn't feel like it's been a big amount of time actually, you know, putting it to bed and finally finishing all the artwork. It hasn't been too long, really. It's nice to be close to be done with that. I'm glad it's happening.
When do you know it's done? Do you have to stop or is it something?
I think you know when you've sort of recorded the songs, but then there's always tinkering, there's always sort of stuff you can do, and you like mix and go back and look. So I think at that point you do need to have deadlines, you know, and the deadline was that I wanted it to come out, you know, at the start of this year, so it meant I had to finish, you know, a certain few months back. But yeah, I had to put that, you know, that deadline on myself, otherwise I think you do just keep working on stuff.
Great. Well, as a music lover, it's a great way to start the year. It's such a wonderful record, and the accolades have all been there. People are saying wonderful things. What's that like for you after spending so much time with this record, to hear everyone saying such wonderful things about your music?
Well, it's strange because I haven't really like looked at anything, so I haven't read anything or I haven't sort of heard anything, but you know, I've talked to people and there's like this general, you know, there's saying, oh, like people are saying good things about the record. So yeah, for me it's just a massive thrill, but you know, I'm really glad that it's out. I feel really attached to it. I feel like it means a lot to me. I feel like I've, you know, worked hard on it, and I'm just really pleased to have finished it. And it's yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of living with it and playing the songs more and seeing what people think of it as well. So it feels like really early days in terms of how other people will and have been responding to it.
How would you characterize kind of the leap forward in this one, or do you not look at it that way in terms of how you progress as an artist with this album?
I think it's a big difference between the first two albums. I think on the first record, you know, it's the first recording I'd ever done. I didn't really know sort of how to record my voice. I felt like if I sang like I sang live, I felt like it came across as too sort of full on and too shouty. So I felt like that kind of encouraged me to do songs that were more kind of intimate and kind of smaller sounding. And then, you know, we produced the album without a record deal, so it was really kind of low budget. It was like in this small studio, and it meant that the way that we recorded it was kind of quite piecemeal. You know, one day a bass player might be available, another day a guitarist might be. In a week, we might have someone else who can help us out, and then, you know, we had to kind of program a lot of drums, and we really worked with what we had, and you know, I think that we got a good effect. But I feel like when I was working this time, I knew I wanted to work differently. I wanted to write all the songs on my own. I wanted to co-produce it. I wanted it to be a heavier record. I wanted to use musicians. I wanted to play the songs live. I wanted there to be more interaction and more layers and more depth to it. So yeah, that was a challenge this time, sort of. But being able to get everyone in the same room at the same time and actually, you know, record a moment in time rather than try and kind of build it up together.
Does it all start with you and the guitar? Does it start with you and a notepad? If you can just kind of talk about.
Yeah, mostly I write songs starting them on my guitar and I just play chords, and you know, then I feel like sort of getting a melody or getting a line, like one or two lines will have the melody and the words will, and it'll seem like it works, and that always feels like that's just sort of come in from somewhere, and then I think the rest of the work is, you know, trying to find out how to build around the song. I feel like the first idea is you know, that's something that kind of comes in like from somewhere else, and then obviously all the work is like trying to put the music around it, or like finish the song.
Mm-hmm. Having such an emotional record and a personal record, what's it like then sharing that now with the world? Is that an odd feeling? Do you think about that's out there now for the world to kind of make something up?
Yeah, I did think about that when I was making the record and recording it. I think for me the most difficult point of performing the record or performing any music is the first time I play it to anybody. So the first time I play it to that one other person. So in this case, it was mostly like the one co-producer that I was working with for most of the songs, and I worked with another co-producer as well. So it would be like the first time I actually play them the song is really nerve-wracking, because that's the only person that hasn't heard, you know, that's heard it is me. So I find that kind of nerve-wracking, and I always say like, oh, don't look, you know. I was like, right, you sort of look over there, I'll play you it. And I just play it sort of quietly and then a bit louder. But I feel like once I've got past that and once we've worked together with the band, then I feel like I've played it lots of times. It sort of lives and it exists. And then to me, there's not that much difference then between actually playing it with a small band in a room and actually playing it in front of an audience. But I think it's the hardest time was the first person you play it to.
So these songs, when you go down, you play it on tour, and you play it in front of a festival at Coachella, is all that emotion still ringing true with every song, or is it a different deal now that it's out there in the world?
I think that I've only done a few gigs with this album so far, but I've really liked doing them, and I think the songs feel real. I feel really connected to them. I feel like the emotion I feel like really strongly connected to the emotions of the song. So yeah, it never gets sort of boring. It's kind of different. It's different every night, and the musicians respond differently, to each other, and it depends on the audience. And I think different songs mean different things to you at different times, and then there's a lot of meanings in the songs that are kind of like secrets to me or whatever. So I kind of feel like I enjoy singing them as well.
Is that fun? Have you, those little things that no one will ever know?
Yeah, I think so. I think you need to have some as well. You need to have some things that you're talking about that you think, maybe knows what I mean about this. So, yeah.
What kind of feedback do you get from your fans in terms of their own opinions, what songs are, their own meanings? They must vary. You must love to hear that feedback from people. A completely different idea of what a song could be.
Yeah, I really like that about songs, that they mean different things to different people. And when I was at university, we got really into this theory, this death of the author theory. It's like from the 70s, where the idea that the author writes something, but there's no such thing as like inherent meaning in the text, that like every single word means something different. If you had a sentence like father came home or whatever, the word father and the word home means something different to every single person, and then you've got a whole book made of all these words. And so I like this, I think the same about music, that all the words mean something different to people, and then the emotion can be received in a different way. So I really like if you've got a song that means something to you, but then when it goes out into the world, it just people relate to it in different ways. And I think I really like that about songs, that once you've kind of made them and they go out, you don't own them anymore. And other people can hear them, other people can cover them, people can understand them in all different ways. And I really like that about, I think you sort of surrender the power to the song.
Talk about all your success from the first record and what that did to you, how you got through that experience and how you came out of that kind of change. How did that affect going into this record?
It was strange with the first album, it was so unexpected to me that the record did well, and I've always been part of like a sort of underground scene, like a bit sort of outsider thing. So it was strange for the album to be doing well. But I don't know, because I maybe felt like I went into it as an outsider, I managed to keep that kind of outsider status in my own head. So I never really felt like, I'm part of this glittering inner circle. I never felt like that. I felt like the album got appreciated by different musicians that I really respected. So that was brilliant, getting to meet Stevie Wonder or Al Green, or work with Herbie Hancock, meet Mary J. Blige backstage, or go and watch Prince, and all these people had said positive things about the album, and that was really incredible to me. Not because they're well-known musicians, but because they're people whose work I really admire and have learnt a lot from and been influenced by. So I think hearing people whose work you really admire, and there being this connection between you, that's a great thing. Obviously, getting to play in front of bigger audiences and have them know the songs and sing along with the songs, that was brand new to me. But yeah, I never really sort of felt myself be famous, neither here in the US or in England either. I don't know, it just didn't sort of feel like that. I didn't really see myself everywhere or see myself on TV, and I didn't watch back a lot of stuff that I did. I thought that was good, because I felt like I was always feeling it from the inside out, rather than sort of packaged up and presented as separately to me. So yeah, it was really exciting. I was happy for the music, and I felt going into this album that I was really lucky to have a platform. I felt a lot of freedom going into the second album, thinking, well, all these people have heard what I've done on the first album, so there's going to be another chance for me to, try and get in with this audience and try to, show them what I've done and see if they like it or not.
You've also kind of proven yourself in some ways and shown that if you one sell records, but on the creative side, people enjoy what you do.
I hope so, yeah. But it still feels like early days, it's my second album, and it's only just come out, so it's nerve-wracking.
Lots of made of the darker themes on this record, but I also found this album very playful in lots of places. It's also a very sexy record in certain songs. You can talk about just that side of it. This must have had some fun making this.
I had
this
a
record,
lot.
contrary to what people may be saying.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun making the record, and I think, you know, so much of it I'd recorded, you know, in 2007 and the start of 2008, and then obviously I had a big break and return to the album. And listening back to it, I feel like there isn't really a break between the songs that I had recorded from before and the songs that I recorded more recently, and that was really important to me, that there was like some cohesion, not just, you know, on the album, but they represented the fact that I was still the same person. That was really important to me as well. So I think, you know, there's a lot of themes on the record, and I definitely wanted it to be heavy, but I definitely also wanted it to be more aggressive and, like you say, playful and fun. And you know, that song Closer is like, I don't know, it's like an intimate sort of like sexy song, and then there's all these other songs that are, like you say, more sort of playful. And I don't know, I felt like I wanted to show a broader range of myself on the record than before. You know, I know how much you've got to play it, and I wanted to be able to get enough out of it. You know, in all these gigs that I'm doing, I wanted to be just kind of show myself a bit more or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How much more comfortable have you gotten on stage in terms of showing yourself more? Is that something you kind of have changed your whole feeling on stage? Are you more comfortable? Not that you were very comfortable. Is there a different vibe?
I mean, it's weird. I feel like when you're doing something, you love it. It always feels the same, you know. So I felt like when I was in my indie band and I was playing to like 60 people in the room, if we had a song that was like, oh, I really like the song, you know, and if it went well, and if that thing happened where you're playing it but you're not really thinking about it and something takes over, and then if everyone is into it, then, you know, that feeling is exactly the same as if you're playing like a well-known song to 3,000 people, and you know, and it's out on an album or something. It's the same buzz, like, and it's a massive, you know, it's like a massive thrill. So you know, the one thing I felt that was continuous between, you know, being like a waitress, writing songs in your bedroom and going out and playing them, and what I was doing my first record, was that thing of getting to perform, and the way that you feel connected to an audience and the way that you feel sort of taken up. That was the one thing that I thought, oh yeah, this is the familiar thing about that.
Grammy week again this week. You can talk about just the people that are coming out now. If you're out there again, I don't know if you're going to be on the red carpet or not, or coming to the band, but people that, you know, you talked about seeing some of the people you admire so much, and now this point maybe coming to you, and all these new young artists. How much does that happen? People who get inspiration from your music and are maybe putting out records of their own a couple of years later.
I haven't really met anyone who I've heard, oh yeah, they're inspired by my music, or yeah, I don't think I've got to that stage yet, but I love being around the Grammys, and especially that kind of, you know, new artist category of people just kind of breaking through, and things are just happening for them. I think the Grammys is a really interesting community, and I feel that sort of in the US, it's a really welcoming sort of community. I think people who've like found, people who've been successful but they're sort of humble, they kind of recognise it's not really to do with them. You know, these songs turned up in their mind, you know, and you know, they've been lucky to be in the right place at the right time. So I feel like there's a lot of people who feel that way about where they are. They don't feel like they've really like forged their success. You know, it's just it's kind of happened in that sort of way. They feel lucky. So I think those kind of people are really welcome to the community.
How comfortable with the position you have in terms of success? You feel like you've made it now? First album did so well, there's another album you have to be very, very proud of. Is there a sense of, I can stop now, I've already someone at the stairs, you have lots more you're waiting to.
I mean, I feel like the most important thing to me is the songs. Like, every time you're writing a song, you're just thinking, oh, I really hope this is like the one, or whatever. And I think there's a really exciting point when you're writing a song before you finish it, but just when you just started it, where it could be like the best song ever. And then, obviously, in my experience, it turns out to not be the best song ever, but it turns out to be, you know, a good song that you're proud of. But I feel like, you know, if you're a songwriter, you're always trying to write that one song that's like really personal, but it's really universal, and it's really unusual, but it's got this mass appeal. And you know, those songs that you know, that I've grown up with, like Georgia on My Mind, or you know, some of Al Green's record Let's Stay Together, or you know, like What's Going On, or you know, songs that just kind of stay with you. You know, you're always wanting to find that, I guess. And I always want to be a better singer, I always want to be a better communicator. So those are the things that drive me. So I would never think, oh, I can stop now. Also, I'd be bored. You know, I really like doing music, so I'll always do it in some, you know, in some context.
Right. What part of you is still that kind of indie rocker on the inside who just wants to get out there, and it must still live inside you?
Yeah, I mean, I love indie music, you know, I love the fact that you don't have to be schooled to play it, you know, I love jazz and I love the harmony and I love how complicated that is, and, you know, I don't understand it, I tried to write that, I tried to hear it, but, you know, I love the simplicity of like indie guitar music. I love the fact that, you know, I would see someone on, you know, a band on stage and there'd only be 4 people and you could pick out what the bass was doing and what the guitar was doing, and then you could get your friends around and be like, okay, you play this, and suddenly you had this song. You know, that I love the way that it kind of opened the doors, and it meant everyone had a license to make their own music and say what they were thinking. And, you know, I especially loved the way that I felt like women were putting themselves across in a way that I hadn't seen before. Bands like Veruca Salt and you know, Courtney Love, some people who had this kind of sexual persona, and it was powerful, but it wasn't about like whether the men were watching or not. It wasn't about being submissive. That was all really exciting to me as a teenager. So I still feel like I've got all that inside me, and I feel like when I'm playing these songs like live and when we're recording them, you know, I was able to make heavier sort of music. I was able to play electric guitar, we were able to build up layers, we were able to just trip out more, make the drums really noisy in places. So it's funny with this album, I feel really whole in the sense that I feel like it's, you know, it has got a lot of jazz and soul influences, but then I still feel like it's quite noisy and unschooled as well. And so for me, it's just a massive thrill to have those two sides of myself, you know, come together and feel complete and not feel like people are trying to sort of make you choose a side, which I've never been comfortable with.
The glockenspiel on this.
Yeah, there's so much glockenspiel. I got this glockenspiel like in the post, it's massive, and you know, I've had to be restrained from putting it on. I think it's on about 5 songs, and you know, sometimes we'll be building up the layers and say, do you think I should put glockenspiel on this? And people would have to stop and say, I think there's enough glockenspiel on the record now. So it is on about 5 songs, but just, it's a great sound. Pretty fun, you know, you don't have to really know what you're doing.
So much of also layering it's your voice is at the center of this thing. It's still what you do with your voice with different layers. You mentioned singing softer. If you can just talk just kind of lastly about just your progression as a singer, and do you feel like you're doing something really different with this record and kind of letting yourself go with this one?
I felt like I did try to, I felt like I had more freedom in the record, because I felt like partly the way in which I wrote the songs I wasn't thinking about it so much. I'm thinking, right, here's a melody, this works, I'll do this for the first verse and the second verse, and now I'll think of the words and kind of add them into the song. I didn't feel like any of the songs turned out like that, so most of them, the first time I sang the song was the first time I wrote it as well. You know, I played it on my guitar, and what I sang out became the verse or whatever, so I felt like the melodies suit my voice more. And then I also felt like I wanted to record it as though I was singing live, so to have that thing where you're all playing in the room at the same time was really important, you know, rather than sometimes in a recording process you've got everything and everything's perfect, and then you're just like, okay, just a vocal to go on, and it's really important, and there's this stress, and you know, and all the music's already there and it's locked down and it's going to march ahead without you. Whereas I think if you're playing live, you know, there is a bit more interplay. You know, you can look over the drummer, you can pull things back, you know, you can stretch out words, and you can sort of control it, and the musicians are responding to, you know, you. I felt like, because I was teaching people the songs on the day, I felt like I had to sort of run it more, like I had to emote, like, you know, this is where it gets intense, this is where we pull back, so that, I hope, you know, that made a difference to the vocal performance, because I didn't feel like I was doing a recording. I felt like we were just kind of doing a song.
Any current artists you'd love to share the stage with, share a studio with?
Oh, there's a lot of amazing performers but I always think I'd like to sort of stay out of their way. You know, I really like what they're doing, so, you know, I always think what Prince is doing is really interesting. I think Bjork's amazing, she's so individual, and she's a great producer, and you know, sometimes what she's doing is being built out of these tiny, tiny layers and loads of vocals, or sometimes it's really electronic, or sometimes it's really tribal. But she's strong enough for being that it all holds together because it's her you want to hear. I heard Erykah Badu's new album, New America Part 2, that's not out yet, and that was just like the best party you've ever been to. You know, you just sort of, I want to get it so I can have a party and not have to DJ and just, you know, just put that on. So that's really good. And, you know, there's amazing drum. I mean, I've got to work with Amir and Weissler Thompson on this record on one song, and you know, he's a really great drummer. And I just think, you know, I really like being around musicians and artists and people who have got ideas. You know, I find it really interesting to be around people who just get ideas and you know, that it's not really there. They haven't made it happen, but they seem to be, you know, there, and it seems to sort of come through them. So yeah, I like being around creative people, but a lot of the time I think quite shy to collaborate with people, or yeah, and I'm just trying to learn how to run things, I think, myself as well. So I think I've got a bit more to do on my own.
You're doing fine on yours.
Well, I don't know.
Just lastly, kind of, you have a busy year planned. Just kind of your hopes and dreams for this year. What would you hope things? What direction do you take?
I've got a lot of hopes for the year, and I think they mostly revolve around playing the album. You know, I'd really like to develop the songs, and just like us to get great at sort of interpreting the songs. And you know, I'd love to do a tour that was busy, that there was people there every night, but they knew the songs as well. And, you know, because I think then you feel like you've got license to kind of do your thing and have freedom, and not think, oh, it's gone too extreme, or it's gone too weird, or you know, and not feel tied down to playing stuff exactly as it is on the record, but stretch things out and have things, being able to respond to an audience and all of that. So, you know, I'm travelling with this band who are really good friends of mine who recorded on the album, and that's been so much fun. And you know, it's a real thrill. They're a mixture of people. The guitarist played in my old indie band, and then the rest of them I kind of know from like jazz and soul that I've heard since I was at university. So even in the band, it's kind of a mixture of these two influences of mine. So yeah, I think I'm just looking forward to touring around. I'm coming back to North America on I think from the 7th of April. I'm going to be on a North American tour. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
People know every word to the song by April.
I hope so. Yeah.
Am I just feeling a little bit mad at your singing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was just thinking.
Where it all
well,
kind of starts.
if you actually ever were at my house hearing me play the guitar, you'd be able to work out that I can't actually play the guitar. And everything, I feel like I sort of work stuff out, you know, like you can just move shapes around. And that's what I think is so brilliant about the guitar. It's really a democratic instrument. So if you played the piano, it would just be like, you know, you just make a big disaster, whereas the guitar's amazing because you can just find shapes, you know. I never really know what things are called.
You still play for yourself just to amuse yourself?
Always
or to
do,
relax?
yeah. Always do, yeah. So yeah, I think it's just a great instrument because you just have to learn shapes and you can move them. And if anybody likes all my songs, they'll be like, oh, we recognise all these kind of shapes. So. Yeah, it's just easy. Well, I play guitar enough to write songs. I play my violin. That's the main thing that I trained on. So I actually went to a shop to buy a new violin because I've got a violin which we kept under the chest of drawers in our room, and then it just turned out to be like a really damp room. And when we finally moved house and I opened it, it was just like so I went to this folk music shop to buy a violin, and in the process I ended up discovering this instrument called the auto harp, which I absolutely love, and I played it on the C, which is the last song on the record. And that was just amazing because it's really sort of brittle and unusual and delicate sounding, and you know, it's like a beginner's harp or whatever. You can just press down. C, G, E flat. So, yeah, that's a good instrument. But yeah, the guitar's just, you know, I've got tons and tons of things to learn about playing guitar. So that's always, I find like I'm always just sitting down, trying to work stuff out, and then trying to practice, but then I'm, oh, I like this, and I don't know, just start singing songs. It's just like doing it.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Pleasure talking to you.
Thanks a lot. Nice to see you again.
Good. That's really special, right?
We've been
Thank
keeping
you.
the LA Times outside. I don't